Hey, what's up everyone? It's time for our combat patrol. We are now up to issue number 19, or at least I'm up to issue number 19. I am actually a bit behind a few other people doing reviews, which is a bit unfortunate. But let's have a look at issue number 19, where we are getting ourselves a wonderful Parasite of Mortrex. Now, model itself is actually, looking at it, the model's actually quite small for what you might consider to be almost a character for the Tyranids. I'm going to have a good look at that later. And then we will see what's actually going on inside this issue. So, how to build, this is standard fare on these by now. We know that they do a how to build on every single one, usually as a rule anyway. It looks like we have, all right, so this is actually a glued one. I actually expected this to be push fit because a lot of the newer Tyranid models are push fit. So I'm actually quite surprised to see that this isn't. That this is actually a one that you have to glue together. I'm curious as well when we'll have a good look at this, particularly when I'm building it. I'll be curious to see if how it goes together, and potentially if I got, say, another one of these, how I could convert it basically and make it my own. Anyway, let's have a good look though. So, how to paint. Now, this is the High Fleet Leviathan, if I'm correct about that. I am doing my own personal High Fleet, because as I've said on many occasions, I've done a palette swap between the Space Marines and the Tyranids. So it's got a nice little guide about how to go about kind of basically adding the colours we've got so far. Now, what we like to come across quite often is stuff like this. This is our lore. This tells us a little bit about the setting. Now, the Great Crusade. So I'm going to put it as simply as possible. The era that I find most interesting about Warhammer 40,000 is actually the Great Crusade era and the Horus Heresy era. That is the thing that I'm interested the most in. This handsome little fella here, or handsome giant fellow, is the Emperor of Mankind, who is effectively dead by the time we get to Warhammer 40,000. He is basically just a pretty much on life support, a very complex type of life support, but life support nevertheless. So it's good that they're explaining about the Great Crusade and what happened during that time, but not into much major detail, but definitely looking here like it's kind of heading into a little bit about the how the Great Crusade basically falls apart. Okay, a little bit of a fiction to read through. I do love a bit of fiction. I do love anything that's a story to kind of get your brain thinking really about the models that you're playing with in more detail. So we've got some nice little bit of lore there, and we've got our a little bit of a story to go through. Bit of details about collecting the Parasite. Again, I've not come across this miniature before now. I've never built one, and I've never looked at the rules behind it. So, it's nice to learn a bit more about them. Oh, that's horrible. Parasite of Mortrex will infest their enemies with Ripper swarms. So, kind of is, well, I can assume then that it's implanting those horrible little creatures everywhere. Our data sheet about how how to actually use it within battles, and then how to use it while we play. Now, I have to admit, because this is the last Tyranid model, I'm going to assume that our battle here, let's see what we actually get in our battle. Yeah, we're actually pulling together huge numbers here of troops, so we've pretty much got the entire Tyranid set coming forward for this battle, which again is pretty awesome. I mean, you can just see though, like, our Astartes here seem to be completely outnumbered, no doubt about it. But Astartes are very powerful as well, so they should be able to cope with it, basically. Right. So what we've got there, to put it as simply as possible, is, you know, a nice little issue to box off our Tyranid. And this is the Parasite in itself. Personally, it's quite a small miniature, but based upon the lore behind it, the reasoning behind that, as far as I can tell, is it's supposed to be pretty similar to things like Von Ryan's Leapers. It seems like it's all about infiltrating more than being a frontline trooper. The fact that it's winged as well adds a little danger to it. However, just to give you an idea of this thing's size comparison, you know, if that's your winged tyrant, that is, you know, a very small, for want of a better word. And I have noticed that there's a drive in some cases to create smaller, you know, smaller characters for the Tyranid. So I do like this thing. It looks really cool. It's interesting from an aesthetic point of view, in a sense that if you look at it's got a kind of very clear, like, snake-like tail, which, unlike the winged Tyranid Prime, which has legs, it's a Tyranid warrior with wings, basically, that one. This is using the kind of the tail to it. So I like seeing different takes on the Tyranid bioforms and the body forms. I'm pretty certain that if you wanted to, you could create your entire Tyranid force almost on a particular flavour. So you could have an entirely winged Tyranid army if you wanted to. You could have one that was practically all the snake style bodies if you wanted to. You could have ones that were potentially, you know, all burrowing types, all stealth types, you know, anything like that really. So you've got a lot of freedom with your Tyranids to build your force based upon almost like what you might call a flavour, which I like the idea of. So I'm going to find it interesting putting this together in a bit. So that's our issue number 19. I'm going to put this together in a second, show you how it's built, and then hopefully very quickly afterwards do a painting video. So there we go. Issue 19's got some good stuff in it. It's a nice little end to the Tyranids, because I don't think we get any more Tyranids anymore. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you for the build.